Hi and welcome to Movies Suck. Today we're going to have a look at Rambo, Last Blood. Wow, John Rambo. Who'd have thought we'd have yet another installment of this stalwart 80s hero? In this age of the superhero, John Rambo still holds his own. There aren't many characters who can stand the test of time, and there aren't many actors nearly 40 years on who can bring to life a character that has long since been consigned to the history books of cinema. Arnie can still come back as an aging Terminator once in a while, and Bruce Willis sometimes attempts to bring John McClane out of retirement, although he's yet to bring his acting skills back out of retirement with him. But Sylvester Stallone just won't let his characters die. Ever since he got to bring back Rocky Balboa in 2006, he's been treating us to occasional outings of his most famous characters, and even bringing a new 80s style action movie series to our screens with The Expendables. He may be 73 years old, but he isn't ready for his bus pass just yet. And here he is, back again with Rambo, Last Blood, the final outing of one of the greatest action heroes ever to grace the cinema screen. Now he is much older than when Brian Dennehy wouldn't let him stop and get something to eat. And he's finally back home on his family's horse farm, which explains his horse riding skills that we've seen occasionally in earlier movies. It's now just him and his surrogate daughter and her grandmother. His surrogate daughter, whose name is Gabrielle, to whom he's been acting as a father for the last 10 years, which explains what he's been up to since the last movie, Rambo, in 2008. But he has seen so much more of the darker side of life by this point. He is a man who has spent his life at war in one country or another, and is at last settled and living on the family farm near the Mexico border, raising horses and teaching Gabrielle how to live a life free of the pain and sorrow that he has suffered. He wants nothing more than to train his horses and work on the farm while continuing his apparent hobby of tunnel digging and working on his blacksmith forge making letter openers and other sharper, more deadly things. We see that he's now taken some form of medication that's never explained by the movie but appears to be related to his PTSD. And he's still suffering from flashbacks to all the horrible things that he has suffered through over the years. But being the stoic that he is, he soldiers on. John Rambo, he's always needed family, and that used to be his army buddies. But they all died either in or not long after the Vietnam War. We learn his father, who didn't talk much and just sat there on his rocking chair on the porch, died some years ago. So now Gabrielle and her grandmother are his only family, and Gabrielle is off to college, so he's feeling like he's losing his family again. Then, out of the blue, Gabrielle gets a message from a friend that her actual father is living in Mexico, so she decides that she needs to go see him and find out why he abandoned her. This is the detonator that sets off the action-related parts of this movie, that pits our hero against one of the Mexican cartels that we hear so much about on the news. From this moment on, this becomes pretty much your general run-of-the-mill revenge thriller. Think Taken, but without the slick handiwork of an ex-CIA agent, rather the brutal handiwork of someone that is just as used to using a hammer as a weapon as they are a handgun. This movie doesn't feel like a Rambo movie, and it spends no time dwelling on military-related issues. Rambo feels very much older than he has in the past. Maybe because he's been living the slow life on the family farm, and that's dulled his skills and made him grow older before his time. But by the end quarter of the movie, he is back on form and showing the kind of moves that we're used to seeing from the Special Forces veteran. There are some of his classic booby traps on display, and the old bow and arrow get their share of the bloodshed. Rambo may be getting on a bit, but he's still sharp enough to handle your average bad guy. And unfortunately, none of this saves this from being a rather formulaic movie that left me feeling cold inside, as I believe Rambo deserves a better ending than this movie gives him. And that is why I am recommending that you go and see this movie. I know, it sounds wrong after I've just been saying that it's not that great a film, but Sylvester Stallone said that if this movie does well, he will make another one. And I really want Rambo to get a better ending. He really deserves it. This movie reminds me of a quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald. He said, "Show me a hero and I will write you a tragedy." Come on, Stallone. Give John Rambo the send-off he rightfully deserves. This is Movie Suck, signing out. I'm off to go sit on my rocking chair and have a bit of a cry. Don't forget to leave a like, share, or subscribe. I'll catch you on the flip side.